After Effects gets some sweet new features. Mr. Beast is hunting for a 3D wizard, and Adobe jumps out of the frying pan and directly into a huge fire. It's Motion Mondays. After Effects 24.5 just dropped, and hey look, there's some really cool stuff. Adobe is touting 6 big features, but there's also a bunch of bug fixes. You can read the release notes if you really want to dig in. So first up, there are shadow catchers in the new 3D system. These are layers that render just the shadow of the 3D object, which is super useful for compositing. You can also now extract depth maps from 3D scenes, which are used for post-processed depth of field, fog effects, all that good stuff. You can now drag and drop 3D models straight from Creative Cloud libraries, even animated ones, if they're in GLB or GLTF format, which is pretty sweet. There's also some nice quality of life improvements, like camera and light properties now show up in the properties panel. And there's a whole bunch of new presets that ship with After Effects to use as well. Check out Flow Motion's YouTube channel for a great roundup of these features in action. Also, give them a subscribe while you're at it. They've got some super clever After Effects tutorials. So fire up that Creative Cloud app, get updating so you can try out these new features and tell me what you think. Mr. Beast, the biggest YouTuber on the planet, is hiring a 3D designer for their thumbnail team. Yes, you heard that right, the thumbnail team. Now, as a dad who's seen a lot of Mr. Beast videos, I can tell you that the production value is bonkers. We're talking fully integrated 3D elements, visual effects, motion design, the works. And here's something you may not know if you don't have a YouTube channel. Thumbnails can be more important to a video's success than the video itself. At Mr. Beast's scale, a good thumbnail can literally mean a difference of millions of dollars. This gig is a perfect example of how motion design work is changing. Influencers, direct-to-consumer companies, they're all hiring artists and leaning way into motion design and upping their production value. Of course, studios, agencies, and networks hire 3D artists all the time, but the fact that Mr. Beast is hiring a 3D motion designer is just so cool to me. For the right person, this could be a dream job. So, School of Motion alums, maybe it's time to polish up that portfolio and shoot your shot. ManvsMachine just dropped a stunning spot for Ford's new Mustang GTD, the highest horsepower street legal Mustang ever. And let me tell you, it's everything you'd want from a ManvsMachine piece. We're talking sick camera angles, amazing animation and textures, some mind-bending 3D effects that will leave you scratching your head. What I love, aside from the visuals, is the concept and the way it's executed. It's all about the car's engineering and how these tiny components work together perfectly to deliver the insane performance of the car, all wrapped up in some mind-blowing Houdini work. You know, I used to really want a Mustang, and this video is not helping those old cravings. Check out ManvsMachine's site for some cool process imagery on the spot. These guys are always at the top of their game, so you can learn a lot from their case studies. Go watch the spot and prepare to be inspired. Check this out. The Guardian's creative team is going old school for their election coverage. Partially in response to AI imagery, they're using hand-cut images and handmade designs for all their UK and US election coverage artwork. We're talking mixed media collage, purposefully imperfect, made by human hands, and personally, I think it's brilliant. Sure, it's a lot more work than just using AI or even just stock imagery in Photoshop, but I love it for a few reasons. First, it's pushing back against that overcooked, oversaturated, too polished, too perfect AI look. And second, it just looks fun as hell. Usually, elections are covered like they're the Super Bowl, it's all shiny and polished, but why not have some fun with it? Check out the Guardian's site to see this in action, and compare their design to, say, CNN's. The Guardian's approach to me is so much more visually interesting. I'm all for it. And I cannot wait to see how they animate this style. That's gonna be awesome. I recently found this AI-enhanced mind mapping tool called Mapify. Now, you know we teach mind mapping in our design courses as a neat way to quickly come up with lots of concepts for your designs. It's great for pulling out ideas that you can't really get to in a straightforward way. I've used an app called MindNode for years, but Mapify adds AI to generate mind maps faster. I was skeptical, so I tried it out to see if it could help me come up with concepts for a broadcast graphics package for the US election. By the way, a quick tip, with AI, longer, more detailed prompts usually get you better results. So Mapify builds the mind map in real time, and I gotta say, it came up with some interesting ideas like a chessboard concept or the jigsaw puzzle concept. Most of these ideas aren't gonna work, but that's kind of the point of mind mapping, and using AI to just throw more ideas at you to play with seems like an actually useful thing. There's a free version of Mapify to start, but you'll need a paid account to really dig in. But it might be worth giving this tool a shot if you do a lot of concepting. So check it out, let me know what you think in the comments. Mark your calendars. The School Motion Summer 2024 session kicks off in just 2 weeks on July 8th. If you're looking to master a new tool like After Effects or Cinema 4D, brush up on design and animation fundamentals, or dive into advanced techniques like expressions and character animation, we've got you covered. Our in-depth curriculum features unlimited critique, a 24/7 engaged online community, monthly live streams, and verified credentials upon completion. Plus, we're one of the only places that is dual certified as both an Adobe and Maxon training center. Classes are filling up, so if you're serious about leveling up your motion design game, there's still time to join this upcoming session. Head to our site for all the details, and we will see you on July 8th. If you haven't discovered MoGraph memes on Instagram, you are missing out. This mysterious meme master serves up painfully specific motion design jokes that only a small fraction of the population will get, and that is what makes them brilliant. I used to check this account daily. The person behind it, and no, it is not me, despite what some people thought, is an absolute meme genius. Motion design jokes should not make me laugh this hard, but they do. Based on how insider some of these jokes are, I'm betting this person has a lot of experience in big motion design studios. The account has been quiet lately, but the archive is just pure gold. From After Effects frustrations to client communication woes, the memes are bangers. Head over, give them a follow, and show some love, and maybe we can coax this meme genius out of retirement. All right, this is one of the craziest things I've seen recently, and I've seen some things. So, I'm obsessed with Rive, and they just keep shipping great features. So recently they added a randomize feature for animations. And now, the amazing animator Ross Plaskow, who's on the Rive team, has built a fully functioning Flappy Bird game in Rive with no code. I repeat, with no code. Now, I understand Rive, and I still can't quite wrap my head around how Ross pulled this off. It's a perfect example of how powerful this tool is for animators. We actually just had a discussion about this on a recent School of Motion meetup. We're so early with Rive that most clients don't even know what it can do yet. And so I think this is a massive opportunity for motion designers to help clients understand that. Imagine pitching interactive animated experiences to clients, each customized with their branding, all without writing a line of code. Ross's source file is available in the Rive community, so go check it out and see what you can create. Houdini is Eminem's latest single that he just dropped, and it's also that 3D software that every single 3D artist wishes they knew, but it kind of makes you curl up and cry when you open it, right? Or maybe it's just me. Anyway, they've just released a sneak peek of version 20.5, and I gotta be honest, it's incredible. The realism and fidelity of the simulations they're showing are ridiculous. Now, I don't use Houdini, but I've used Cinema 4D for ages, and I know how hard it is to get good results with multiple interacting dynamic systems. Houdini is designed with complex setups like this in mind, and the new features make it even more useful for tricky simulations like sand, snow, water moving across shorelines, and stuff like that. Houdini users that I know say you can literally make anything you can imagine with it. This new feature preview backs that up. We're talking about improved simulation tools, look development tools, new rigging tools, some so specific that they're useful for animating bird feathers up close. There's new modeling tools, sculpting tools. It's jam-packed. So maybe now's the time to conquer your Houdini fears and dive in. Just brush up on your vector math first. Let's hear it for Matthew Burge, our School Motion Student of the Week. Matthew is crushing it in the VFX for Motion course taught by the legendary Mark Christensen. His latest exercise tackles a deceptively complex compositing challenge. We give students a background plate of a dolly shot, and they have to deal with dolly tracks, perform a camera track, and composite a ton of stuff into the scene. This means interactive lighting, reflections, and turning a green screen School of Motion alumni into a hologram for a fictional 80s sci-fi show. It's the kind of project that we love coming up with for our courses. And Matthew nailed it. This project is way harder than it looks, and if you've done compositing, you know all the little things that have to come together to pull this off. So congrats on your stellar work, Matthew. We can't wait to see what mind-bending visuals you cook up for your final project. After the big kerfuffle, what a great word, over Adobe's terms of service, they've delivered an updated version. And believe it or not, they've included callouts in plain English to explain the legal mumbo-jumbo. Now, here's the big one. Adobe explicitly states they don't train generative AI models on your content unless you've submitted it to Adobe Stock with extra agreements. They also explain why they need certain licenses to your content for features like thumbnail generation, share links, and checking for illegal imagery on their cloud servers. There's a bunch of important clarifications in here you might want to check out. They're very clear throughout that it's your content, not theirs. And Adobe evangelist Jason Levine did a great walkthrough of the changes on social media. So if you want the full breakdown, definitely check that out. I think this is a welcome move towards transparency. Sometimes a little internet outrage can actually lead to positive change, right? So check out the new terms and let us know what you think in the comments. Now, I thought that would be the end of the Adobe story, but then something else happened last week. The United States Federal Trade Commission has taken aim at Adobe over its subscription practices. FTC head Lena Khan says Adobe made it, quote, absurdly hard to cancel subscriptions and used deceptive tactics to push annual plans. Apparently, Adobe was pre-selecting the annual paid monthly plan showing only the monthly cost, but hiding the full year commitment and early termination fees. I didn't know that was happening, and that's no good. It's anti-customer, and companies just shouldn't do it. My take on stuff like this is sales tactics like that will probably give you short-term gains, but ultimately they'll piss people off and they'll hurt you way more in the long run. I'm actually a huge fan of subscription models overall, but companies definitely need to be upfront about what you're getting into. So here's hoping that this leads to more transparency across the board, not just for Adobe products, but for all companies that offer subscriptions. Remember, friends, always read the fine print. And now we'll end with one more AI story. Runway has unveiled Gen 3 Alpha, their latest text-to-video model. And every time one of these drops, the internet loses its mind. This one, though, is actually pretty incredible. The fidelity of movement and little details just keep getting better with these models. It really makes me think there's definitely going to be some great use cases for this tech. I do think it's going to disrupt stock footage in a massive way once it's good enough. And frankly, some of the clips are already plenty good enough to be used in a lot of video edits. Now, this is still in alpha, so you can't play with it quite yet, but apparently there's some way to do precise keyframing of elements in the scene, and I'm really curious what they mean by that. As always, I'm skeptical about the gap between how useful these seem and how useful they actually are in practice. Copyright issues will also need sorting out before mass adoption. And speaking of copyright, check this out. Amazing animator Kevin Perry spotted something interesting in one of the demo videos from the Luma Labs new video AI model that we featured last week. If you look closely in the background of some shots, you can see actual Pixar characters. Yes, that is Mike Wazowski from Monsters, Inc. You know Mike, with one eye, you get it. Anyway, this clearly shows their AI was trained on Pixar movies. Now, I'm no lawyer, but I'm pretty sure you shouldn't generate Pixar IP with your fancy new AI model. But hey, if nothing else, we can now generate a monkey playing guitar with human hands. Welcome to the future. And that's it for this roundup. If you're digging these videos, please do me a solid. Subscribe to this channel and abuse that like button. Feed the YouTube algorithm beast so that we can spread the gospel of motion design far and wide. And don't forget, our summer session kicks off in just 2 weeks, July 8th, mark it down. And one more thing, your vet won't tell you this, but if your dog is running a fever, get it some ketchup. It really is the best thing for a hot dog. I hope you relished that joke. I'll see myself out now.